should Cam get a pass for his poor performance?
Absolutely not. My grandpa used to say, son, if you don't make any excuses, you won't have any to give. It's as simple as that. Your job is to play football. Once you get on that field, what's going on outside of that stadium, what's going on in the world, your mind should be absolved from that. I understand you're going to go back to reality, but this is what you're getting paid for. This is why you make the big bucks. Skip, sacked 8 times. Now, all those sacks wasn't on his offensive line. When you have guys like a Cam Newton, a Michael Vick, and a Randall Cunningham, those guys ran themselves into a lot of sacks because they constantly think they can always get out of harm's way, and they miss one and they run into another. 3 interceptions, 10 penalties for 65 yards. Kelvin Benjamin, your big-time playmaker, had 1 target, 0 catches. That's not good enough. Now, if you think about Minnesota, they had 211 yards. Did they have 211 yards? Maybe like 180, 190 something.
I think so.
Skip, you have that, and you win a game on the road against the defending NFC champs in their building. That's unacceptable. And I place this on no, Cam is not getting a pass from me. He should not get a pass from anyone because because this is what I always thought of distractions. Distractions tells me more about the team than what caused the distractions in the beginning. Because this is not about a distraction. This is about their performance. They did not perform well, and it caught up with them. And they need to go back and they need to do some self-evaluating and ask themselves, do we really want to get back to the Super Bowl? Do we really want to be that team that when teams come into our building, they don't want to see us? And when we go take our show on the road, they fear us. Because right now, they're just looking at the Carolina Panthers. This is not the 15-1 team last year.
Nope.
They're not looking at Cam as the MVP. They care nothing about that. I don't know how much of the press clippings they read from the offseason, but they need to get this turned around.
I respect and I appreciate everything you just said. So this is strictly my view, my opinion from a distance. And this topic is race-based to me, obviously, so I'm going to have to give it up again. I'm just a white guy talking from a distance. But for me, I felt sorry for Cam Newton yesterday. So from my vantage point, I'm going to give him a pass and a little bit of a break for yesterday because obviously what happened in Charlotte, North Carolina, previous to this game and leading up to this game, thrust Cam Newton back onto a national stage on which he was, to my eyes, not comfortable. And to me, you were tough on him. You wanted to hear more from him when we spoke about it last week. He made a statement, and he felt strongly both ways. I can see this, but I can also see that. And Shannon Sharpe, age 48, wanted to impose his perspective and his experience and his command of this situation upon the reigning MVP in the National Football League, who's 27 years of age.
No, Skip, I did not. I'm just saying I just did not understand how he could say he's a black, he's an African-American that scared some people, to saying racism did not exist, to now having a strong belief on this. So in a span of 7 months, he had gone back and forth on a lot of different subjects.
Okay, this is just my 2 cents. I think he's just not sure yet. And I can't condemn him for that because it is a tough issue.
It is.
And so he's waffling. He's riding the fence because I don't want. Is he trying to protect his endorsements? Maybe so. I don't know that, but it could be. Or is he just saying, I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I do read this, and then I think, no, but I read that, and I changed over here. And all I know is he looked like he was very distracted. I believe he spent a lot of time this week thinking about this situation and what might or might not happen protest-wise ahead of this game on Sunday to the detriment of his preparation for this football game. That's just me, and I don't know that for a fact, but he had to think about, I'm going to wear this T-shirt out for warm-ups, and Dr. King's famous statement about injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, okay? Beautiful, but he had to think it through. I'm going to do this, maybe to the detriment of his preparation. Maybe his mind wasn't completely on a defense that has flat out arrived this year.
They can play.
They can play, and they're playing at as high level as your Broncos defense. Right now, it's like 50-50, and I got to throw the Eagles defense in there. These are all sort of shocking. The Broncos aren't shocking, but the Vikings and the Eagles are starting to threaten that. So I say, maybe you weren't quite ready. Now, he did come out pretty hot. He's 7 for his first 7. And then all of a sudden, the safety happened, and then the sack started happening, and the forced interceptions started happening, and he came completely apart at home, to your point, where you got embarrassed. And again, you could be right. Your grandmother could be right. You know, just forget about the excuses. They don't deserve them. But in this case, this was a pretty unusual situation that happened last week to a young black man, reigning MVP, who felt, oh my God, I've been thrust back into the national spotlight. I'm supposed to speak. And remember what he said, I want to speak, but if I say this, I offend these people. And if I say that, I offend all these people. And is that, I don't know, gutless on his part? No, not to me. It's just a kid. Because sometimes we ask these kids to have perspective they just haven't earned yet.
Right.
They haven't.
I agree with that.
Okay? So I don't know, because you have huge, great, fearless perspective. And I know you want to will your thoughts on him, which I appreciate. I wish you could. I wish I could pour Shannon Sharpe into Cam Newton right now, because he could be a powerful spokesman for this whole situation that we're suffering through as a country.
No, I just think that Cam needs to be Cam, and you can't, because Cam is in a situation that no matter what he says will be broken down. And if he says something in March and then he comes back again and says something different, the people are going to put the two together. It's like, well, what happened in between to make you get to say this but get to here now? Okay, then what happened from here to make you say, and that's the waffling. I mean, he has to be him.
You know what happened? Immaturity happened. Like, not sure. Like, I'm trying to grow up, and I can't grow up fast enough for everybody.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. Had Cam Newton come out here and thrown 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, rush for another 40, and they win 25, say they win 35-10, everybody would have said just how mentally tough Cam Newton was. So now, because he didn't play well, is he mentally fragile? Did he let the external forces get the better of him? I think Cam is better than that. I mean, you don't get to where he got to, the situation in Florida, going to Blinn, going to Auburn, being the first pick in the draft, Rookie of the Year, MVP, all in a span of under a decade. So he's mentally tough. He's physically tough. But he was sacked 8 times. And that's not only all in his offensive line. The 3 interceptions, he's still making some throws off of his back foot.
He was.
And
he was holding the ball too long.
Too long, because sometimes, Skip, he wants the big play. He wants the home run. He doesn't want a single or double. He wants the wild play. And the wild play is hitting Teddy Ginn or hitting one of his receivers, 25 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards down the field. Well, if they're not open, take the check down or get out of the pocket and run. The 10 penalties. Kevin Benjamin, he can't have 1 target, Skip. 1 target for no catches?
I saw it Captain Munnerlyn said after the game, member of the Vikings secondary, that
at one point he played with Carolina.
He did, but he was, I'm paraphrasing his quote, but he said, we decided we're going to take Kelvin Benjamin away from Cam, and stats scream that they did. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, we had little to no respect for Funchess, number 17, he called him, and said, we'll have Funchess, he can have all he wants, and he got none too. So good luck.
But that's the thing. And this is, I don't really give anyone a pass, because just like you weren't willing to give J.J. Watt for having back surgery in the offseason. He's really not practicing. He's not 100%. But when you go out there on the field, all the people see is you in that uniform.
I got that, but nobody asked J.J. Watt ahead of that Thursday night game to take a national soapbox and make a big statement about a racial issue facing our country. So he wasn't that distracted.
Skip, look, if you allow external forces to distract you, you're never going to reach the player that you choose to be. Cam Newton says he wants to be great. He wants to be one of the all-time greats. Well, the all-time greats are not distracted by anything.
That's true.
So he needs to be able to say, okay, this is going on outside, but hey, for 3 hours, this is my job. This is the most important thing in the world to me. Because if he's distracted, your best player is distracted. What are the other players that's underneath him? Now you give them excuses. And I never wanted to give anybody else an excuse, because if I went out there, whether I had to take all these pain-killing injections in my ankles and shoulders, I was out, they saw 84. 84 normally performs when he's healthy. So if he's hurt and he's out here, the fans, my teammate, my coaches are expecting me to perform the exact same way. So Cam cannot use what was going on in Charlotte, what's happening in Tulsa, as an excuse. So I won't allow it.
The greatest player ever, Michael Jordan,
Yes.
was often criticized, even condemned for never taking a stand
Yes.
on any of these type of issues, any social or racial issues, right?
Yes.
Because all he wanted to do was dominate the sport of basketball, and he did, because he was never, ever distracted by anything else.
But he was also building a brand. Because that's
now
what
you can
that's
make
what,
that case.
Because they asked him about Jesse Helms, who was from his home state.
Sneakers,
and he
too.
said
Yeah.
Republicans buy sneakers also.
Yep.
So he was very, very cautious not to offend any demographic of people, because it wasn't only blacks that were buying the Air Jordans. It was a lot of different races that were buying the Air Jordans. And he didn't want to put off anyone. Now, in the last 3 months, he's come out, donated $5 million. He's made statements. He's made 2 statements on these issues. I'm a firm believer. Maybe it's just me. It's never too late to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But we knew, and we know what Michael was thinking then. We know what Cam is thinking now. But you get no passes in the National Football League. This is a performance-based business.
You got it.
And you are paid to perform. Now, if you want to have a platform and address all these issues, have at it. But the really great ones, Kareem took a stand, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and they still were able to perform at very, very high levels. So it can be done.
Some people are made very differently than other people.
But here's the thing, Skip. It's not like Jackie Robinson, where he had to, they go into one area of the hotel and Jackie Robinson had to go. He's not going through that.
No.
He's lending his voice. He's lending his platform to the plight. But it's not like these other guys that were actually in the plight. So, look, I commend him for what he's doing. He's a very talented, he's a great player. But you have to be able to block those things out in order to maximize everything that you have to do on Sunday.
It's a tough situation there in Charlotte, but like you said, it's a slippery slope when you start blaming outside distractions on your play.